what is pink and blue and I squeeze in my hand often. It is the Lander by Ben and his new outfit, Knafs.com. So I've been in my obvious creative slump lately from the content or lack thereof you've noticed. And I got a package from Ben with this knife in it and a whole bunch of cool goodies in it as well, seemingly aiming to resurrect my interest in making content, if not enjoying knives. So I swapped, using this little scale kit, I swapped one of the blue scales to a pink scale just so it lays neatly, and at a glance in the knife comparison or the steel comparison I'm going to do, it's quite easy to tell which one is the Lander, because as you can see, these are three similar size category knives. They're not crazy different to immediately stare at. This is the first knife that Ben did. This is the Banter, which was with Wee knives. This is an S35 VN steel, and this was a, as far as I can tell, pretty roaring success, really. Then came the Baby Banter. This one is through Civivi, also Wee knives pretty much, and my Baby Banter has actually been beaten up fairly regularly. It's a good little pocket knife, sits in the coin pocket of my pants quite often, or just as my spare knife. I think we've got some tip damage there. Not damage, but just, wear and tear. It's been a good little pocket companion for me. And then the Lander here, well, the Lander has been literally completely encapsulated in my family's shit. Well, yeah, I used this guy. I had this guy in my pocket. This guy had the misfortune of being in my pocket when I had to dig up my septic tank and cut the thick plastic sheet that lays over a subterranean septic tank. Open it up, remove a paper towel clog. Yes, someone flushed a paper towel down the bog. And you know what? Paper towels these days, they are something else. You just consider them as towels. Those things are amazing. But what is not amazing is that they don't break down in a septic tank. So anyway, long story short, you don't watch my channel to hear about my septic tank. This guy here did some basic cutting tasks during that job, which was, obviously mainly a digging and heavy rubber gloves type job. But you know what? It was there and it was involved and it came to the party, came to the poo-poo party. Oh yeah. So I've had a bit of a mileage on all three of these. So you've got S35 VN, you've got D2, and you've got Nitro V. So you're looking at like premium budget sort of steel, true budget steel, and then like niche budget steel. Like Nitro V is still not a powered steel, but it's kind of like it's a steel that's fans. It's a bit more of an interesting steel than just going with your standard D2, for example. So let's look at how these three compare, and we'll finish off with a bit of a review of the Knafs Lander there. Alrighty, so we're going to get out the old KME and do some sharpening, and then do a bit of an edge. Jesus. What happened to you, old mate? You grew your hair out and lost it. It's been that long.
I wanted a bold new summer look.
No, that's fair enough. Here, let me see if I can help you kind of comb it over a little bit. No one will know. No one will know. There we go. Oldest trick in the book. 10 more years of virility, guaranteed. Right, 17 degree mirror polished edge for these three blades. And then an edge test versus twisted sisal rope, which looks suspiciously like young Brickard's golden locks. Got a fair bit of work to undo here. I've just been freehand sharpening it on a work sharp field sharpener, so the angle would be all sorts of, inconsistent, but it's been working fine, but just a little, less precise than perhaps my testing is used to. Alrighty, got a nice little polish there. We are going to grab this little kit here. This little kit. This is what Ben sent along. This is like a little Knafs care kit. I don't know if they all come with a Huawei pop, but I can't tell if it's mango flavored or caramello con chile. I will eat it whilst I continue my sharpening. But little cool kit full of things for knife maintenance. So a little Torx driver there, very cool. A little like plastic pry for getting the scales apart. A little thing of blue Loctite. A little thing of nano oil. A leather strop. It's got like a little key grommet on there. And then in here, we've got some compound and the other Torx. So the other Torx for getting the rest of the knife apart. Because as it stands, you can remove the scales from the lander and without having to muck with the pivot, which is very, very cool. And I'll show you that again in a little bit. So, but what we're doing today, I'm gonna use this strop compound. I'm gonna use this on my KME strops and see how this goes, and we'll use it on all three, so it's comparable. But I've got the kangaroo leather KME strops. I'll get one that's basically, well, probably got a bit of the diamond stuff on there, but we'll just give this a bit of a rub. And we'll see how this guy goes in making a nice mirror polished edge. Shall we? So just as an aside, I thought I would talk more about just like Knafs stuff in general. So this tool roll here, it's got magnetic closure. It's got a little spot for absolutely everything. There is just thought and care put into everything. So this fairly disposable little box for this stropping compound has blade angles on it. Like everything just has something to look at and it has its own little place. There's just so much care and love, and it's just, I don't know, this is like a proper nice gift. This is something that if you're not sure what knife someone has or hasn't or would or wouldn't like, this is just, it's just like such a thought-laden little article, and it all folds up and a little tag goes through there. It's just, it's quaint. It's, you know, it's, I suppose it's a bit like, you know, it's not a, I know it's not a knife and it's not a, you know, it's not a sharpener and it's not anything. It's just a bit of a knife celebration kit, really. And, you know, it's just got that same, like, yeah, just that, it is all aesthetic, I suppose. But sometimes, especially when you're thinking of like a gift item or something, aesthetic gets you a good way into a successful present. And this is something that's really made with care, made very well. And it's just kind of one of these little joyous things. And this, along with a lot of the other stuff that Ben does from his, you know, yeah, and it's all oozing with little stickers and charms and magnets, and it's just, it's all just delightful, you know. And like, it's a bit like the scales, you know, the lander scales. You know, you got Ben with his with the Wii Banter scales that have like the cat, space cat on them. The whole thing is just like it's a journey into like the really fun sort of carefree side of knives, which is something I really appreciate, especially at the moment when the whole industry just feels like it's full of very angry people. Alrighty, back to the knife lab. It's been a while, guys. So, Twisted Sisal rope cut test. I've put a mirror polished edge on each of these knives here. I'm going to go through I'm just going to go size order, I suppose. I'm going to start with the Banter, then do the Lander, then do the little one there, the baby Banter. So remembering it's S35VN versus D2 versus Nitro V Steel. So I'm fairly certain. I have some thoughts on how it's going to go. I think it's going to be 1, 2, 3, but then maybe it won't. Maybe sometimes D2 is much harder than you think it's going to be. In fact, in terms of a sharpen, this one probably took the longer time, but then S35VN has a lot of tech in it, making it an easier sharpen. So you know what? We'll see. You can never discount the fact that maybe Nitro V will come from behind and just absolutely embarrass the competition. Don't know, probably not, but let's see how we go. Oh, it's so damn hot. Rope cutting was a bad choice. Right, so the results. 325 cuts, S35 VN We Banter. 275 cuts, Lander D2. 200 cuts, Nitro V on the Baby Banter. So that is, expressing a couple of different things. The superior steel, quite unsurprisingly, S35 VN in terms of both edge retention, but also in terms of besting these two at being stain resistant as well. Nitro V will be more stain resistant than the D2. D2 is a semi-stainless steel. Nitro V I've never had issues with staining at all, although, as it's not a powder steel, it's not going to have that uniformity. So generally putting stainless features in a particle steel, powder metallurgy steel, it's going to make it usually more stainless, unless it is a true sort of ultra high chromium type alloy. But at any rate, Nitro V has its fans. Generally in the fixed blade market, it's interesting to see it in such a small blade here, but certainly does a good job. You've got to remember, this is horrible stuff. You would not want to cut this with a pair of scissors. It'll derail and blunt those scissors pretty darn quick. Using a sharp V edge on this material here, I've found is a good way of testing edge retention. That being said, maybe it's passing through this into the board. Whatever it is, this did 325 of those, this did 275 of them, and this did 200 of them, cutting rope into my wooden chopping board. So that should be a little point of interest to you all. Y'all call that an edge retention test? Uncle Randy, my goodness. That's right. I know an edge test. It'll truly test the metal. Sonny boy, Sonny Jim. Uncle Randy, I understand that this testing has had its detractors over time and often gets the results that some people don't quite love. Edge uniformity, repeatable results. Don't give me any of that poppycock. I see exactly what your test tells you about the Buck 110's Paul Boss heat treated steel. You know what your test doesn't account for? The tradition and the history and the culture of blade steel. Again, something that this does not really take into account, the culture and tradition of a steel. This is a pretty math-based thing, I suppose. Now, I've been to the School of Hard Knocks and I graduated from the School of Life. You can see that on my Facebook page where my profile picture is a truck. And I gotta say, there's one testing medium that is gonna make all your little shiny 17-degree mirror polished edges look pretty darn silly. Oh, well, I mean, if you have a more arduous or more definitive test on a steel, then I would be happy, and I'm sure the viewers would be happy-ish to see how that unfolds. What is your cutting medium? Oh, you want to know about my testing medium, the one that separates the man knives from the little fancy boy knives? Well, y'all come with me to Uncle Randy's kitchen and you see Aunt Karen has something she's baked just for you. Smells like she's just about done. That is the scent of a knife gauntlet yet to be seen on this YouTube production channel. Let's get her out of there and get her done. Alrighty, so this is Aunt Karen's special Christmas time fruit loaf. And this is going to separate the man from the ladies. Rightio. Oh, now this is always the hardest part, getting it out of the oven. Of course, these titanium reinforced shelves here, so they're used to the fruit cake, but gotta admit, old Uncle Randy's mitts ain't as strong as they used to be, so you have to bear with me. Alrighty, how did we do this last time? Well, guess I'll just get in there. Oh, cracky criminy, start to hosify. Oh, Jesus, Wills. Strength and courage. History and culture don't break the oven. It's always that part getting it over the oven door. I've broken 3 ovens this year with the fruit cake. Oh, Christmas season barely started and she's making them for her family and friends. Rightio, alley-oop. Goodness gracious me. Come on, Randy, lift with the taint. Lift with the taint. Oh, God. Oh boy, well, I'm sorry I did lose my composure a little bit there. Oh, keeps Uncle Randy young, that's for sure. Now, may not look like much, but this here is a particularly dense fruit cake. Aunt Karen's got a special recipe that, well, they seem to get smaller every year, but they ain't getting lighter, that's for sure. So, you know, just a certain quality to this cake that makes it a real test of a knife, a bit of the old. And this substance, I feel she's stumbled across. It's they say that alchemy isn't real, but there's a combination of ingredients where she can combine them and put them in the oven, and I swear you could run a train off of this. You burn this and you could ride a locomotive from Florida to Washington, without a doubt. So, the reason Uncle Randy is dawdling a little bit is I know I gotta hoik this bugger over to the knife lab, and my old noodle's a bit short-circuiting is how I'm gonna do that. Idea. Oh boy, well, we finally got there. Tell you what, that is Uncle Randy's workout for the week. I'm gonna need a strong cider tonight to get the juju. Oh my goodness gracious me, what on earth is that?
I am obviously a sentient brick who speaks to the camera. You insufferable boomer.
Well, where I come from, contraptions or devices such as yourself are known as cryptids, and acknowledgement of such is against the grace of God, so I won't have any further conversation with you. So, we're looking at Aunt Karen's cake, and we're going to see how these fancy edges here hold up against such a dense and mysterious substance. Well, I guess we'll start with the knife of the day, the Lander, designed by Mr. Ben. Now, he's a pretty nice guy as far as I can tell. From what I reckon, he's never once tied his shirt up into a bow around his midriff, so he's all right with me. Now, we're just going to make a pretty standard cut, or at least attempt to, on Aunt Karen's Christmas cake there. So we're going to get right in there and give it our best. Well, I'm piercing the substrate, but I ain't getting... I'm gonna have to move my chair up a little bit higher. Oh, get the leverage on there. Oh, yeah, boy. Righto, so. Well, I mean, making some progress. At this rate, we might have a slice done by Thanksgiving. I suppose it is Christmas cake, so if we just work away at the channel that we've started there, in there, Mr. Lander. Ugh. By gum, that's going to be a tricky cut. Well, I guess we want to be all about science here, don't we? So I suppose we'll do a bit of a comparison. We'll get out the Banter, bit of a snazzy little name there, Banter. I used to go to a speakeasy called the Banter, and every now and then one of the ladies would wear a particularly short set of jodhpurs and we'd all see her ankles. Nasty memories of the youth coming out there and have some fruitcake and put them all to bed. Rightio, we got there. It's like a glassy sheen. Oh, right off. Sure smells good though. Sure smells good. Rightio, well, let's get the little guy out of the way. I think we got low expectations of him. Let's try to get the tip right in there and really get her done. I'm gonna psych myself up. It's like, you know, when you're gonna chip into a boulder and you gotta make sure your grip's all right, so then slide up on the blade and crikey Moses. I mean, I got it lodged slightly. It's like it's not gonna hold. It's like a wet pine that you're trying to attack from the side rather than from the flat exposed surface. Is kind of how it feels best. Well, it's certainly done no favors to that tip, has it? Goodness me. Well, as we suspected, these fancy bend knives here are no match for Aunt Karen's special cake, but I would just like to make an exhibition without comment. Well, still ain't easy, but with a knife like the Buck 110, goodness me, Karen, that's a heck of a lot of fruit per slice. With a knife like the Buck 110, the jobs that matter, regardless of the steel and the V-edge and the 17-degree mirror polished, you're going to have a much better chance of getting them done. Well, as they always say, don't tell me, show me. So I reckon I showed you just why I still choose the knives of Buck over the knives of Ben, as lovely as a man as he is. Oh boy, it just goes right in there, doesn't it? It's in like a hot knife through butter. Wow. Whew. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I'm famished. I reckon it's just about time to have a piece of fruitcake. We'll just turn this one on its side. Ooh, boy, oh boy. Well, I'm full.